Welcome back to Phenom Yachts to Build. I'm Sean Reel. Today we're coming to you from one of the most confidential places on Phenom Yachts campus, the Mill Room, and we're going to check out some new product. Welcome inside the Mill Room at Phenom Yachts. One of the things that makes us unique is that we have a giant 5-access router that we can do all this ourselves. And I'm standing inside the plug for the deck of the all-new Phenom 43. We're working on the finer details back in the aft portion of the boat. Let's take a look at what that thing is doing. If you remember from a previous episode, the plug is the part we pull the mold off of and then use the mold to make the fiberglass part. So this plug is an exact replica of an actual fiberglass part made out of a composite material. We're using our 5-access router here to dial in the very small, minute details in the corners and in the drainage channels throughout the whole deck. Here's a tighter shot of one of our dive doors, and as you can see these fine little lines that the drill bit makes when it's making its cuts. It's nearly perfect. For the perfect touch, the mold maintenance team is going to take over. They'll finalize everything, they'll make it perfect, then we'll pull our mold so that we get the perfect part every time. So we've seen some of the more finely tuned and detail-oriented pieces of the back of the boat. Let's take a look at some of this stuff where the mill has not quite touched it yet. So now we're sitting inside the console and you see untouched, uncut putty everywhere. Grounded surfaces, nothing sharp in detail. And you see indexing markers all over the place. These indexing markers give us the measurement of how much material we have to remove from the outside to reach the final surface before finalizing. All right, so I'm standing inside the plug of the deck ring for the new Phenom 43. And a plug is essentially a composite copy of an actual part from which the mold is actually pulled from. What we're doing here is creating splashes so that each and every one of the holes is in the exact right spot and we never skip a beat. So to dig a little deeper into what a splash actually is, it's essentially a thin layer of fiberglass that's pulled off of a part so that when the cut and grind technicians go to make their cuts, it's as precise as possible. Now that you've seen the plug and the splashes, let's go check out the mold. All right, we're here in mold maintenance. What you're looking at is the 43 Phenom's deck ring mold. It's been through cut and grind. They've shaved the edges off and made everything nice and smooth. What they're gonna do now is Class A the mold, which is a combination of sanding, buffing, and waxing to make sure when the fiberglass is laid in and it's an infused part, that it pulls from the mold properly, makes a nice, perfect surface. So far, we've seen some really cool parts and pieces of the Phenom 43 with the deck plug and the deck ring mold, but now we're gonna show you one of the coolest parts of the whole boat, the hull. Now check out the all-new Phenom 43 hull. We've already done some of the steps in the process, including the gel coat layer, the skin coat layer, and we're in the process of puttying the strakes right now. Before any of that can happen, one of the most essential parts of a new mold is to lay a peel coat layer.
Peel coat is a layer of gel that's sprayed into the mold. Once cured, it's then peeled out. It's an important step in the process of prepping a new mold for production. This removes any excess wax or dust from the mold. It will then move on to the next step in the process of production.
Once the peel coat's completed and removed, we'll start the build on the outside of the boat with the color, which is called the gel coat layer. Once the gel coat layer is dried, it's time for the second coat called the skin coat. The skin coat is chopped fiberglass mixed with resin to a very specific thickness. Once laid, it'll be rolled out by the technicians with rollers with small teeth in them. This removes any air bubbles from the resin, preventing any air voids in the final part. The skin coat layer prevents printing in the final part, which is where you can see woven fiberglass strands through the gel coat. What you're seeing behind me is the second skin coat, which is added protection against printing. Let's take a look at these rollers real quick. You can see what's going on. He's rolling it out with this metal roller and little teeth on it. And what he's doing is pushing the air out of the resin to prevent any kind of air voids in the final part. Now, in between the first and second skin coat, the team's going to come in and apply putty to the strakes to create what's known as an I-beam effect. And just like an I-beam in construction, it's added strength and rigidity to the hull bottom, the reduction of flex. They'll put the putty in, and once it dries, we'll cover it with fiberglass to create a nice, smooth, flush system for the vacuum infusion process. I hope you guys have enjoyed seeing the beginning processes of production of the all-new Phenom 43 hull. We've sure enjoyed sharing it with you, and thanks for joining us on this episode of The Build. Make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one.